Westmalle Trappist Extra.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Right, before we start, little disclaimer. If you hear any strange slurping noises, no, I haven't got lucky. I've got a little pug sitting down here. Let me show you him. Wait, come on, come here. Right, this is Percy, isn't it? Get out of it. And he sometimes gate crashes the videos, don't you, mate? And I'm sure he can smell the beer, and he actually smells of malt. And he's not too impressed. The fucking shape of his head. I've got a little monitor here that I can see myself. When he sits in this position, his head looks like a rugby ball. Doesn't it, Perce? Hey? Doesn't it? But he's the channel mascot, so he'll be the one making the noise down there. All right, so I'll just clear that up before anyone gets the wrong idea. There you go, Perce. Get back to what you was doing. Licking your arsehole, probably. Anyway, I just realised he licked my face then, didn't he? Jesus Christ. The things you do to dogs, eh? Anyway, got a special one here today. And it is from Westmalle. Yeah, don't knock my guitars over, twat. Honestly, this room is just full up with guitars at the moment. I'm building a studio out in the back garden. I may do a video on that. I'll just give you a little insight as to what's going on there. But I'm halfway through it. Doing a bit on Tuesday, putting all the stud walls in on Tuesday. Anyway, enough about that. Got one here from Westmalle, and this is a Trappist beer. It's the Trappist Extra. Now, occasionally, more than occasionally, on this channel, I say I've got a special beer. Well, in this case, this really is a special beer, and there's a few reasons why it's a special beer. One, it's new. It's the third beer that's commercially available from Westmalle, which I absolutely love. They do the double, which I've reviewed on the channel. Fantastic stuff. They do the triple. Again, amazing stuff. And for me, they're one of the best breweries in Belgium. If not, well, could they be the best? That's a real tough one, but they're up there, in my opinion. They are absolutely fantastic. And what I like about them, they only do 3 beers. Now, contrast that with all your craft brewers at the moment. I was reading a newsletter from Cloudwater today. You want to see how many beers they've got in their range, and they all just pump out beers left, right and centre. Invariably, they're all IPAs. Occasionally you do get different ones. They do stouts, they do a Goes. That was a Goes and a Berliner Weiss, which was unusual because normally in their newsletters, I don't buy much Cloudwater beer, to be honest now. I just can't afford it. It's too expensive for what it is. But they had I think it was a sour. Yeah, Berliner Kindle. Not Berliner Kindle. A Berliner Weiss. And it was something like £7 a bottle. And I just thought, hey, it's just too much. £7 for a bucket bottle of beer. And I think it was 330ml as well. And I am fucked if I'm paying £7 for 330ml. It's not on. I don't think so anyway. But back to this stuff. They only do 3 beers. And this is the latest edition. This is what's known as a Pater beer. And I'll quickly explain what a Pater beer is. Basically, it is the beer that is drunk by the monks during the day with their meal. Now, obviously, Trappists are well known for their beers. And back in the old days, the beer was only brewed for local consumption and just to keep the abbey floating financially. But they always had a beer that was called a Pater beer, which the monks would drink themselves, and it wouldn't be for sale, it would just be brewed internally in the abbey. And occasionally you do get one come up. I know St Bernardus did one. I don't think they're a true Trappist brewery though. They've lapped onto the whole commercial thing about calling yourself a monastic brewer, but they're not really. But the pay to beer style is one that they promote, and that's what it is. It's basically the everyday beer that the monks drink. Now, Westmalle didn't take this lightly, allowing this for commercial production, because they felt it would put pressure on the brewers who are brewing the stuff for the monks during the day. Obviously, if you're only brewing for X amount of monks that are in a monastery, it's a bit different to going to full-scale production to make this available to herberts like me over here in the UK. But that's what they've done, and I'm glad they have, because recently the Rochefort monastery stroke brewery released their extra beer as well, and I did review it, and I opened it up and it went everywhere. So I didn't want to put the review up. I still got it. If you want to see that review, let me know in the comments and I'll put it up, but it ain't great. And I think I lost a lot of flavour on it. I had to give it a swirl, and then yeah, it wasn't a great review because the beer just foamed up and went everywhere, so that wasn't good. But point being, Rochefort done this recently. They released a beer, not a pay-to beer. It was the first beer they'd released since 1957, I think it was. Certainly the 1950s. But you get my point about Belgian brewers. They don't do much, but what they do extremely well. And the case in point, in fact, the perfect example of a brewery that does that is Westmalle. I absolutely love their stuff. I've been drinking their doubles and triples for ages. There is a pub not too far away actually in Maidstone where they do Westmalle doubles and triples available in bottles, and I always make a point about having at least a double before I start the night. I always start on a double. It usually ends in carnage that night. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. As I say, this is a special beer, and it is also the oldest beer that they brew. Now, you might find that hard to believe, but obviously if you're brewing beer for the monks, or the monks are brewing beer for themselves, and it's just for daily consumption, that would have been one of the first they brewed. So again, when I say a special beer, I don't mean that in a throwaway statement. That is quite a special beer I've got in front of me, so I need to treat that with a little bit of respect. And there is rumours that the third one was released to symbolise the Holy Trinity. Now, they are a Catholic order, and they obviously believe in the Holy Trinity. Personally, I'm not religious, but if you're wondering what the Holy Trinity is, it's the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. That's three persons in one. That's what Christians believe, and this beer, releasing the three, is supposed to symbolise that. But that's pretty much what it is. Now, I could talk about this for a hell of a long time, because on doing my research, I did find a hell of a lot about this beer. But I would suggest, if you want to find out more about the beer, how it came about, etc., little factoids that there's just too much to store in that old grey matter of mine. But I suggest you do read it, and even better, just get hold of some and read it while you're drinking it. But that's all I'm going to say about it now. I'm not going to say much about the brewery because I've explained their history in the other two Westmalle reviews that I've done. I've reviewed the double and I've reviewed the triple. Have a look on the channel. The history is there. I'm just going to say that they were founded in 1836. They also produce cheese and some other products as well. Cheese and, is it honey or something? Well, whatever they do, beer and cheese, definitely. And the yeast that's used in this, just going back to the beer, the yeast that is used in this is also the yeast that is used in the double and the triple. So there you go. So that's all I'm going to say about the beer. Let's get on and actually investigate what's in this beer. Okay, now this is a blonde ale, and it's not your traditional blonde ale because it's 4.8%, which is quite low. And I have seen a couple of other Trappist brewers brewing blonde ale with such a low ABV. And believe me, that is a low ABV for a blonde. Your normal starting point is around 5. Occasionally, I have seen it under, but not too often. It's a 330ml bottle. And the interesting thing I will say about this is that it contains no candy sugar, which is unusual again for a blonde beer. So this really is in the tradition of, say, an English blonde ale, which is quite novel. And it's designed as a thirst quencher. It's not really a degustation beer. if you know what I mean. But it does go through a secondary fermentation in the bottle. There is suspended yeast in there, and it will mature as it's left. It contains only noble hops. These are whole cone noble hops, so they're thrown in there as well. So I imagine there's some fruity and spicy notes on there, but the spice I don't think has been added. I know there shouldn't be any sweetness on this, so it's going to be quite novel for a Belgian blonde. And all I can say now is let's get it open and let's see what's going on. Right, I am drinking out of one of these. I don't have a Westmalle glass. I'm just using my old, trusty old chalice there from Steenbrugger. Right, now, is this going to froth up? I do hope not. I may have to do a quick... I might have to take quick evasive action if it does. Is it? No, it isn't. Oh, thank you very much. No. As I say, when I tried the Rochefort one, it just went everywhere. Properly went for it. And in the glass, there was no beer, it was just a head and foam. So yeah, it was an absolute disaster, which really peed me off, because I was really looking forward to that. And there you go. No such woes with Westmalle. Wow, a lot of carbonation in that. Can you see that? I still don't know whether this glass is nucleated. I don't think it is. But sometimes when I do pour beer in there, I do get that like little whirlpool of carbonation. And I'm just looking in here now, I can actually see the suspended yeast in there. Wow, so many of you home brewers could try and steal that and try and cultivate it. There's the cap. It's a light blue cap. All their caps are colour coded. I'll just put this down. Let that settle a bit. What are we getting on the nose? Wow, well that's different. I will say that. There is no candy sugar, obviously, because there isn't any in there. I've just noticed a chip in this chalice. Bugger. What else is there? It actually smells German, and I'm imagining that's because of the hops. As I say, there's yeast in there that's used in the double and the triple, and it's obviously, this is top fermented, but there's no huge banana, huge clove, no spice, as in coriander and that white pepper. It's just like a bread type malt, a little touch of hop bitterness, like grassy notes on there, and a little touch of earth as well. And it really does smell like an English blonde beer, which is unusual. Now, it is cloudy. I'm just wondering whether you can see that suspended yeast in there. I know you can see the carbonation because it is fucking going for it. But yeah, you might not be able to see it, but I can see there's bits of yeast getting thrown about by that carbonation. Right, all that remains now is to drink it. Bottoms up. Yeah, and it does, and it doesn't have much Belgian characteristic going on there. As I say, there's no banana, no clove, and it really is a thirst quencher, as they say. And the monks drink this with their meals, and I can imagine this is a really nice palate cleanser, because there's a lot of carbonation on that. You do get that in the mouth, but not much flavour, as in, now that's a bit of a lie. When I say not much flavour, I should say not much of the expected flavours from a Belgian blonde. However, there's something about this that's nice. There's a light mouthfeel, a lot of carbonation, and it tastes clean, if you can understand that. There is like a bready type malt in there, almost biscuit, but not quite. And there is some hop character on there as well. But this really is, I can see why it's drunk every day. It really is a thirst quencher. Just a nice, almost dry finish on the back end with them hops, and the carbonation still lingers even after it's gone. If you can imagine that, you're still getting like a sort of a tingling on the palate from that carbonation. It's really weird because it's got the characteristics, in my opinion, of an English golden ale, a good one. It's top fermented, it's bottle conditioned, and the only difference between that and an English golden ale is there is a hell of a lot of carbonation in that. You do get that on the mouthfeel. Now, my personal opinion on English golden ales is they really are hit and miss, and there's very few good ones. But I would imagine if an English brewer did this, maybe toned down the carbonation a little bit, they would have an absolute winner on their hands. It really is. It's a cross between, I would say, like a Helles or a Pilsner and an English golden ale. And the only reason I'm saying it's like a Helles or a Pilsner is that hop character on the finish. You don't get that in English golden ales so much because they normally use like a Fuggles ale or a Goldings. They normally use like a Fuggles or a Goldings hop on that. And you do get a lot more bitterness, and it's more up front. This is very subtle, the bitterness on here. They've used noble hops in here, so that's probably where that's coming from. I'm going to give this a little bit of a swirl, see if I can get any more flavours from it. Oh, let's calm the carbonation down a little bit. But it really is nice. And forget everything you know about Belgian blondes if you try this, because this hasn't got the characteristics of them. This is just an almost, I would say, perfect Belgian session beer. It's 4.8%. It hasn't got big obtrusive flavours, but there's definitely something about this that just makes it a little bit moreish. And I'm not just saying that because it's Westmalle. If this was an English golden ale, I would say this is really good. There is definitely years of experience that have gone into this, and you can taste that. I don't know what it is. And I hate using this term, but it has definitely got the X factor. It's got the perfect balance of what I would say session flavour, drinkability, moorishness, and obviously the ABV is not going to lay you out on your back. I absolutely love it. That is fantastic, Westmalle, but I wouldn't have expected anything less from this brewery. So what is the verdict on Westmalle Trappist Extra? Forget everything you know about Belgian blondes when you try this. This is more in keeping with, I would say, an English golden ale with hints of a German Pilsner or a German Helles on it. And there's definitely something about it that makes me want to keep drinking that. It's the perfect ABV for a session beer, I think. Maybe a tad high, but it's still good, considering it's Belgian. It goes down very nicely. It's supremely drinkable. It hasn't got the big flavours that make you want to, what you get in a good Belgian blonde. So for example, if you really wanted to try two top quality Trappist brewers, if you compare this to the Chimay blonde, they're completely different. But this isn't a blonde as we know it. This is a Pater beer. You have to remember that this is the beer that the monks drink every day. Obviously, they don't want huge flavours because they're monks. It's self-indulgent, in my opinion, drinking blonde and drinking all these fantastic Belgian beers. The monks, their lifestyle dictates that they shouldn't be doing that. And this is like the bare bones, but quality bare bones of Belgian beer, if you know what I mean. I love it. It's putting a smile on my face. Really good. I'm going to give that, I'm toying between 8.5 and 9. I'm going to give it a 9 because it really is my thing. I do like beers in my quest for the ultimate golden ale. Now, as I said before, English golden ales I think are really hit and miss. There's some really bad ones out there, believe me. But this is great, and it is a fantastic alternative if you're stuck with the usual Marston's golden ales, and I don't know, even some good quality brewers do golden ales and they're really not good at all. But this lot, they only do 3 beers. And the 3 beers, well, to me, the triple and the double are 10 out of 10 all day long. This hasn't got the flavour, but it's not designed for that. This is designed for drinking, usually with a meal, and it's a good palate quencher. It would go down perfectly with a meal of sorts, but it's also very good if you're trying to keep the ABV down, or trying to keep a sensible head and you want to session it. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I like it. I like what they do. I like the ethics behind the brewery. They don't brew for profit. They just brew to keep the abbey sustainable. And it's a genuine Trappist beer. So happy days all round. 9 out of 10. If you can get it, it's definitely recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.